8 minutes to do 71 E science. All right, who wants to do number two? No, Sid.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alright, I got J.
Okay, how?
Well, so you underline table 1, then you do positive CG, and then you do at least 10 times greater.
And then, you're missing one more thing.
And the duration.
Good. Average duration. All right, so what are we gonna do?
Okay, so look at average duration. So the right on table 1, the right, yeah, those two, and then the only one that doesn't work, that's not 10 times greater, is 230 to 3, because 280 times 10 is 280, and that's 259.
Good. So for all of these, for this one, 260, 280 is greater than 260, 250 is greater than 240, 233 is greater than 220. Like that, you go all the way down, and then you see for the last one, 259 is not greater than 280. So, yep, it is J. All right, number 3. Who wants to do it? All right, Rin.
So I got D because, and then you have to underline figure 1, and then on negative CG or positive CG, and like predominant before TF, and then predominant after TF. And so on the graph on the top in figure 1, the before TF, like the negative CG is like less than 10, so there'd be like more positive CG, and then after TD, it's like the negative CG is like over 90, so like wouldn't be.
Good, but the one thing you said was you're looking at the point immediately before. You should be looking at everything before. All of these. So you're trying to see how many number of lightning strikes there are. So there's not a lot here, but there's a lot more here. So for each time period, there's a lot more before for positive, but after it's more of negative. So before it's positive, after it's negative, so that's why it's D. Okay, 4. Who wants to do it? Kritika.
I said 4 was H. You have to underline negative CG strokes, 5-minute period, just after TD, less than number of negative CG strokes, 5-minute period just before TD, and supported by figure 1.
Good. Okay. So what are we looking for in figure 1?
So we're looking for the negative CG strokes in the 5-minute period after the TD and before the TD.
Okay. So after TD, is the quantity greater or less than before TD? Good. So in this 5-minute period, but that's not 5 minutes, but you can see it's the immediate point right after and before. It's greater after, and it's less than before, so the answer would be no. And it is the number of CG strokes in the period was more than twice the number of times before it. Okay, and again, notice how it's the exact same thing, the format of these answer choices, except a few words. So if we find those few words for me. So you vertically analyze the question, you have your 2 yeses, your 2 nos. Okay, that's one thing that's different. What's the next thing?
Less than, same as.
Good. Less than, same as, same thing.
Twice the number.
Good. Yeah. More than and then same as. So they're basically the same answer choices. So you don't read all of them. Just know the answer from this. Okay. Don't read all those answer choices. All right. Number 5. Who can do it? Sid.
Alright. So you underline table 1, unit 2, magnitude, average current, positive CG, increase or decrease, and then average current or negative CG, increase or decrease. And then you look from unit 2
Good. So from noon until 2 o'clock right here. So this is where you cut it off. From noon until then, what is magnitude? Magnitude is the absolute value. Good. So you have your value, and you take the absolute value of that, and you get your magnitude. They defined it right here, but sometimes they won't. So you can see right up until there, all those values increase, and same thing. All of these, it goes from 75 to 90. Here it goes from 11 to 18. That's increasing for both, so it's A. All right, 6. Brianna, number 6.
So you underline table 1, figure 1, and then 4 age categories. Age of helpers increased. Percent contribution to pup feeding, and it's H because you can see that it increases and decreases.
Good. So for, what are we looking, which chart are we looking at first though? How do we tell which one we have to look at?
You look at the y-axis to see that this one says pup feeding.
Good. So the top one's babysitting, the second one's pup feeding. And then when they say table 1, what are we looking at in table 1?
The ages.
Good. Because look at the x-axis. It goes from juveniles to subadults to yearlings to adults. It's kind of intuitive that adults are older than juveniles. However, if it wasn't intuitive, this is where it explicitly says it, because you can see it goes from 3 months to 24 months. That means age is increasing. What they were asking was, as age increased, percent did what? So as age is increasing, so as we go across the x-axis this way, what is happening to my y? So we're going up, and then we're going down. So it's increasing, then decreasing. So it's age. All right, 7. Sean.
You underline babysitting, or figure 2, and then babysitting, and then female helpers older than 1 year, and then negative 2 G per hour. And when you look at the top graph in figure 2, and you see that it's a positive slope, so if you would go back to negative 2, then it would be less than 15.
Good. So to answer this question, he went to figure 2. Next thing you should do, look at the axes, because there are 2 charts for figure 2. There's not just one. We look at pup feeding, babysitting. We know we're looking for babysitting because you underlined that. Next thing you do, go to your key. Okay, we underline female, so we know we have to look for the open circle. That's this line right here. We follow it back to when it would be negative 2. You just draw out the line farther this way. It's got to be where we less than 15% if the daily waking was going to be negative 2. Does that make sense, everyone? So it's A. And in these types of questions too, it's always typically garbage that's in the first part of the question. The question starts when it says based on figure 2. This little intro part just helps you answer the question, but really it doesn't. All right, number 8. Who can do it? Megan, at number 8.
Okay, so I underline table 1, figure 1, greatest difference, male helpers, female helpers, and then after that, so I went to figure 1 and the table 1, that page, and the first thing I did was look at the figure 1 and try to find where the difference between the female bar and the male bar was the greatest, which I found in the adults and babysitting. So then I went to table 1 and looked for adults, and then found that that was the 24 months one. So I circled baby G, which is babysitting in the 12 months.
Good. So she found the greatest difference, which is right here. You can tell because that's the greatest difference right between the 2 bars. Another thing you need to be very careful about is if the scale is not the same, you need to pay attention to that. In this case, the scale is not the same. This goes from 0 to 16. This goes from 0 to 30. This supports us because it's the bigger scale. However, if this was a scale from like 1 to 5, this would be our right answer because this is a bigger scale. So always double check your scaling. So yeah, it's adults. So, and what So it's adults. You go over to which the axis. It's babysitting. You look at the age of adults, which is greater than 24 months. So it's babysitting in 24 months, which should be G. All right, 9. Sean.
You underline male helpers and female helpers, then percent of contribution pup feeding, and then varies with weight gain and figure 2.
Good. All right, so what are you looking for in figure 2?
The male and female line and how they change with the weight gain,
Good for which chart?
the bottom one.
Good.
And the answer is C because males don't change.
Good. All right, so how we do this is he chose no. So we're going to cross out A and B. Now, how do we differentiate between C and D?
You just look at whether it's the
Good, yep. Here it says female helpers did not vary. However, in the chart, it's the male one that stayed stagnant. So let's see. Good. All right, number 10. Kritika.
I underlined the helpers, age categories, figure 2 and table 1. And I looked in the little passage before it, and it said, by helpers older than 1 year vary with daily weight gain, so I put G.
Good. It says right here for figure 2 shows whatever for older than 1 year. So we know that's dealing with older than 1 year is older than 12 months, which is yearlings and adults. It is J. All right, number 11. Okay, take 2 minutes and go over this with the people around you. If you finish this one, just go on to the next one. Yeah. What? So it says that it is G. What did I say?
I said it was G.
Unless I circled something else. Oh, yep, I circled the wrong one. Wait. No, it's J. Because it says older than 1 year. Older than 1 year. How many months is 1 year? 1 year is 12 months, right? So it's anything yearlings and adults. What do you say?
I said G.
Guys, the right answer for this one is J. She said G and I agreed with that, but no, it's J. I circled J on purpose though. Did everyone get that? Okay, let's go over that then. Remember, it says right here. Figure 2. Guys, listen to this one. Guys, so it says for figure 2, how old were they? Right here it says figure 2 shows how the percent contribution to babysitting and to pup feeding by helpers older than 1 year. 1 year. How many months is 1 year? Who said? Alright, Shalom, how many months are in 2 years? Good. 1 month, 1 year is 12 months. Alright, so that's why it's anything older than 1 year. So it's anything greater than 12 months. So yearlings and adults. Does that make sense now? Alright.
So why did they tell us?
What do you mean?
Older than 1 year?
Because they're trying to get you confused because someone would choose either yearlings or adults. This was really an easy question. There's no excuse why you guys should have gotten this wrong. Okay? Alright. This one.
Yeah, so I was saying 12 would have.
Did we all write H? No, we were G. The last one. Yeah, we all put H. Yeah, I saw that. I put J. No, we were like concepts. Yeah. It's not the hard material.
There's only one way.
I don't know. Yeah, but here it was like
Yeah,
If it happened 225 million years ago, it happened. No, from fossils.
No, but that's
It's like
What's up?
teeth, bones, flaws.
12?
So like usually it's like,
Yeah,
that doesn't
Yes,
make
yeah.
sense, but
Wait, I don't have.
okay.
Wait, 12? No.
Everything after
Why would it be F?
It's not F, yeah.
It's J.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It is.
Well, how's it not F then?
Oh, you say F, you say J?
Okay, if it's
Alright, let's
F,
go over this one right now then.
I'll give you.
Can I explain to you?
What? I wanted that you explain it then.
So, in scientists when they're saying
Guys, she's explained number 12.
For scientists when they're saying birds appeared 150 million years ago, and for scientists who are saying 220, so it had to happen after, like, it had to happen before, and for a million years ago it was like the other way.
Good.
So
So
it has to be before that, because if it happened at
Exactly.
220,
J.
it couldn't have happened
Yeah,
before
it's J.
that.
Who said F?
I said J.
So it's J.
Okay. Alright. Now, guys, critical thinking should have told you the answer choice can't be less than 150 because they're
That includes.
actually no, it could have been
No,
no.
it has to be less than. It can't be more than.
It can't be less than, because if it happened like yesterday, then it
No.
Existed.
No, I'm saying like if the answer choices were either 20 or 75, it couldn't be either one of those because you can't choose two answer choices that's before, but there's only one answer choice before 150. Does that make sense? How like you can't have two options like that? That's just like thinking like it's J. It most definitely is J. Does that make sense to you, Varun?
No, it doesn't make
Okay, so he's saying that the birds appeared. He's saying the birds appeared yesterday.
Yeah.
He's saying the birds appeared last week on the same day. Okay, but both of them are agreeing that it happened in the past, not like today. So this is all of these are analogous with it happening like right away, versus this answer choice. No, these ones are saying it happened before. This one is saying it happened way before even the latest one.
Oh, 'cause they're all
This guy's
before.
saying it happened 5 years ago, which these guys are saying no, it happened last week.
So it's not because if they're all before, so they just cancel out and then you're left with the one that's greater.
Yeah.
Cool, bro. Wait, no. Because they're not all before. 150 and 175 is in the middle. 175 is in the middle.
But the
No,
other
just
one is
disagree.
225. Before that.
What?
What?
The other one is 220.
I don't see how it could be either one. I don't get it. Other ones-
Guys, it's
Okay, so can you go over this one?
about?
15.
Dude,
Oh, yes.
I got 15. I got 15.
That's right here.
Yeah, it was like, I don't know which one you.
Alright, we're gonna start this one.
What did you get for 16?
One of these.
I got G.
Like circling the stuff right on
And
there.
then I said A.
Hey Arna, do I start now?
Yeah. Guys,
Hey, listen up. Thanks, Alright, so yeah, no, thanks. Alright, so before we start with the questions, how much time do we take for this passage? 7. Alright. 7 minutes for this passage. Alright. For 11, so who wants to start up?
No, I said 12.
We're on 12 now? No, it's 11.
Oh, you're doing this the whole section.
Yeah, the whole section. Okay, 11. Who wants to start out with 11? Nithya.
Scientist who at the end of the first paragraph says that theropods lived only on the ground. So the one that would contradict his statement if they let's see if they climb trees.
Yeah, so theropods could not be the ancestor of birds because theropods lived only on the ground. So that means they would not have to live on the ground for the answer choice, and the only one that's not on the ground is the one that are in the trees, so that's C. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Alright, Shalin, can you do you guys do 12?
I don't get it.
No, that's an easy question. Okay, 13.
Bro,
Wait,
you're doing this because we don't get it.
Okay, so
We all get it.
Okay, so I said existed
Yeah.
and this guy.
alright, so yeah, let's draw a timeline. Okay. So this is 220 million years ago. And this is 150 million years ago. And this is like now, okay? So The first scientist is saying the birds existed here. That's one. The second scientist is saying here. But 250 is all the way back here. So that means no birds for either scientist exist here. Does that make sense?
Oh, yo, I'm getting that.
That's an easy question. No one should have gotten that wrong.
I got it wrong.
I know. Okay. Okay, so Shalin, can you do 13?
Yes. You underline scientist 1 and not scientist 2. And, yeah. That's it. You got the underline.
Okay, so then what's the answer and explain the answer and where you found the answer.
I got B. Because, I can't remember
Feathers. It's big. Can I steal this?
Megan,
Okay. I actually thought it was C because it says here that the
oh no, it's B. It's yeah, he's right.
What?
Yeah, take this.
Oh.
Sid.
Oh, I found where it was. It says it's feathers in the fourth to the bottom line. It's the second to the last paragraph.
Okay,
At the end of the line.
where is that?
The second to the last
What are they
paragraph.
saying?
Okay, this one.
Where it says feathers at the very end of the line.
Right here.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so that's the wrong explanation because we're talking about like not scientist 2, and you pointed to scientist 2.
You meant scientist 1.
Wait, Varun, you explain.
I'm gonna get it wrong. I don't want to.
You know
Okay,
the
Krishna,
answer.
can you do it?
Scientist 1 in like the first sentence of the second paragraph says, although theropods do not fly 225 million year old fossil with feathered colored theropods.
So yeah, the first one, scientist 1 says they have feathers, and now where does it say that they don't have feathers, or what do they have instead in scientist 2?
Instead they talk about the archosaurs and how the archosaurs had scales.
Yeah, so these have they're feather covered, and these have numerous elongated scales. So that's why 13 is B. Does that make sense? Does anyone have any questions? All right, 14. Brianna, can you do 14?
So I just kind of intuitively thought that it was big feathers because it's like soft and you don't usually find like those fossils that are like soft.
Okay, well, this is
Wait,
Brianna.
I have a question.
This was
You
the-
can
But
find
also-
feathers, like old feathers all the time.
But like
It's
fossilized,
not-
fossilized feathers? Like in stone? You know?
Yeah, like they.
Oh
they're
yeah,
like
you
sap
have
feathers.
like sap grading.
Have you ever seen those
No.
at school in second grade? There's like
So,
they
I
get
literally
crystallized.
don't have one for sap feathers.
Have you ever seen a beak in a fossil? I've never seen a beak in my life.
Okay.
Um,
All right,
I
Kritika.
So in like the beginning, like the introduction, it says in brackets, it says like feathers,
Oh, I know this.
oh yeah, right before that it says including teeth, a long bony tail,
Yeah.
and claws.
And claws is the only one that's an option. So I chose.
What? Shalin, you no.
It's already answered.
It says
Feathers
really
is right.
claws.
The
No,
feathers
I
is
think
right.
this is just a prior knowledge question. There's no.
But you can look.
But then you can also say that feathers have been fossils because there's different types of fossils.
Okay, but you see claws, beaks, and leg bones in every single fossil. Versus feathers, how many times? No, the 3 of them are bones. 1 of them's not a bone.
Wait, okay. So the beak on a bird, like the yellow part, is that?
No, they mean like the bone, like the all that stuff gets rotted away. You're left with a bone.
Wait, so that's not like a bone?
Do I look like a veterinarian to you? I don't know. Just choose the
That's
odd one.
what's hard, right?
Choose the odd one out. There are 3 bones, 1 not bone. This is prior knowledge. It's not in the passage. All right, 15.
All right, 15. Shalin.
Oh yeah. 230 million year old archosaur fossil, and then scientist 2, and I got C.
That's correct. Explain why.
because I'm not sure.
Who can find the exact line where it says this?
Ruin, go for it.
Like, here's the last line in the first paragraph.
Just read it.
Those scales have some characteristics identical to those of letters.
Yes. So what does that tell us?
Yeah, it evolved into feathers.
Yeah. That's what we can apply from it. All right. 16.
Nithya.
I said B because scientists from the last sentence he discusses how theropods and birds don't have like similar digits, but then in this paragraph they're repeating that. So that's what scientists want in his theory that first person theropods are close together.
Yeah, so at the end of Scientist 2, you have this, the last sentence where it talks about they have, like the fingers are different, but then at 16 they're saying now that they're like the same, right? And then, so that would, that refute Scientist 2 and then support Scientist 1. Does that make sense? Yeah, it's G. Alright, 17. Lauren.
I have a question about this one. Is this part of knowledge or
17? Yeah, sort of.
I got A.
That's correct.
Alright, because well, birds. So like I first looked at the second part of the question, so that's like the higher knowledge part, and then I got birds are endothermic, but then and then I looked at the first part where it's scientist 1 verse 2, and then 2 is saying it's like a reptile, like scales, and those aren't endothermic, so then that supports scientist 1.
Yeah, so birds are endothermic. That's just prior knowledge.
What's the difference between? No, this one you don't need to know any of that. It says scientists. What are birds? Are they ecto or endothermic?
Are they cold-blooded?
You don't need to know that. What is the difference between endo and ecto?
One gives off, one takes off.
Endo, yeah, it's endo. You warm from the inside versus ecto. You get your temperature from the out surrounding stuff. So birds, how do they survive in the winter? They don't. Yeah, but some birds are still in like cold weather, so they're not taking the temperature from outside and warming themselves because they would freeze to death. So they're warming themselves up from within. So it's obviously endo. So you cross out both the ectos. Now, if they said Archaeosauruses, where did they say this? They said Archaeosauruses are ecto versus theropods, which are endo. If birds are endo, they're similar with theropods. Which scientists talk about theropods? One. So it's scientist 1.
That's A. Alright.
No, we're just going to go right into it because we're running out of time now. All right, 18. So who can do 18? Nithya. Good.
And stop increasing. So if you look at figure 1, they almost all of them level out at 150 minutes. So
Good. So we're going to go up to study 1, which is right here. Go to heavy rain, and they all stop increasing somewhere around there. Or, 150. So it is, okay. All right, 19. John.
The underlying study 2 increased 6.5%, 180 minutes, 2.0%, and
Good. How'd you get A? We're gonna go over to study 2. What are we gonna look for? What's the easiest way to do this problem? What? Look at the what? Yep. What's the easiest way? So what are they saying? As total rainfall increased, so as we're going from light to heavy, that's what total rainfall means. Okay? Good. But where are we looking at? We're looking at 180, so it's right here at these points. But the easiest way is, look at the y-axis, it's going from 0.04, 0.2 to the whole number. So it's obviously increasing. Make sense?
Yeah.
All right. 20. Amitation 20.
20, you underline 31. These accumulated runoff at 180 minutes, and the greatest runoff at 180 minutes.
You're missing something else.
Last one,
Nope.
study one,
Nope. He says study 1. What's the key indicator?
heavy rain.
Yes.
And then you go to the heavy rain graph at step figure 1. And then you can see at 180 minutes, the gravel has the most runoff, and the vegetated has the least runoff, so the answer is B.
Good. Notice how he only looked at the least and greatest. He said the least was vegetated, greatest was gravel. If you look at least vegetated, greatest was gravel, you get J. 21. London, the 21.
You underline vegetated platform, heavy rain, slope of 4%, and study 2, and 150 minutes. So then you go to figure 2 and you look at heavy rain, and then you go to 150 minutes, and 4% would be between 2 and 6.5, so it would be between, like, around 2 and, yeah, 2 and 3, so 2 is a C.
Good. All right, 22. So it's right in between these 2 points at 150. All right, 22. What's the easiest way to do this one? Amitesh. Yep, that's it. Go to study 1 and look at the key. In study 1, what is the key? It is gravel media vegetated. So what is that? That is the materials on the platform. H. All right, 23. Lauren.
Let's see. Because 2 and 3 is like, well, it's not D because there's a water retention factor.
Well, what is the purpose of a plant? Well, what do plants do? Yep, which they need water, right? So they're taking in water. So when you have a plant and you have all your roots going up to the stem of the plant, okay, it takes the water up, then there's a hollow tube in any plant, and the water travels up the tube. Okay, that's what you learn capillary action. This is where it's applied. So the water goes up it. So it's taking it from the soil and taking it up into wherever it needs it. Okay? So it is taking up water. And then, as Sid said, it is taking in CO2 because that's what photosynthesis is. And holding growing medium in place, well, what do the roots do? It's holding it in place, right? So that is why it is all three. This one was a prior knowledge question. The answer is nowhere in the passage. The picture might help you, but not really. All right, 24.
Wait, there's only 1 7-minute section, right?
Yes, there's always only 1 7-minute section. Then there are 3 3 minutes and 3 4 minutes. However, sometimes there's only 6 passages, so there's always going to be 1 7. So these are your options. You can have 1 7-minute, 3 3-minute, and 3 4-minute. This totals up to 7 passages. The other option the ACT does sometimes is there's 1 7-minute, there's 3 3-minute, and 2 4-minute. Or there is 2 3 minute, and 4 minutes. So they just switched both of these up. And this totals to 6 passages. How they distribute the questions for that one lost passage is they add 1 question to every single one. And that basically you're still going to take the exact same time for each passage. You're always going to take 3, 4, and 7. And you should finish science in a total of 28 minutes, which is how much I gave you guys today. Who finished today? Okay, that means you guys got to increase your pace. All right, we've done science for a long time now in class. It's time to get quick at this. All right, you've seen how easy these questions were. There is not a single hard question we have encountered so far. Let's go on. All right. Now this, the key to science is underlining and memorizing 2 or 3 key details you need and never going back to the question again until you know your answer. So how I would do it is, this is how I would do it. According to figure 3. Right when I see figure 3, I would flip my page and see what figure 3 is. I would see that it's measuring meters versus degrees. Okay? So now, what do I want to know? I'm going to underline the greatest change in t, and then theta. So my greatest change in t for theta. Greatest change in t for theta. I'm just repeating that self in my head. Greatest change in t and theta. So where's my greatest change? It's right here, because that has the steepest slope. So I just say 10 to 20. And then I look back, and that's an answer. That's up. Number 2, what would I do? I would go based on, for these longer questions, you can flip back and forth with the questions. But for these are all questions that are very easy that you just flip back and you can find it easily. Based on figure 2. So I'm going to go to figure 2 really quickly and see what it is. Well, I see it's newtons versus theta. So the only thing that can change is my weight. That means any of these standards doesn't matter. So I don't need to underline this because this needs to stay constant. If they're not varying it, I don't care about it. So I don't care about my d equals 0.5 and at any given whatever. What is the order of signs from the weight that produces the greatest tension to least tension? Okay, so I'm going to go to figure 2, greatest to least. So if they said it any theta, so I'm going to go from greatest to least. Well, it's triangle, then square. So it's 300, 200. So it's got to be any whichever one's 3, 2, it's D. Make sense how I did that? Greatest cable tension. Tension is measured in newtons, which is why it's that. All right, consider the data in figure 3. So I'm going to flip back to figure 3. What are they varying? They're varying meters. So this one, it does matter when they say 0.5 and at 0.25. For what value of theta results in 100 newtons? Okay, so where's 100 newtons? It's right here. So I'm going to just draw my line out, and see where does my 0.25 and my 0.5 cross? Well, my 0.25 crosses right here at 30 degrees. My 0.5 crosses right here at 50 degrees. So the answer is 30 and 50, which is G. Does that make sense how I did that one? All right, 27. Based on figure 2. For someone's looking at figure 2, they're varying the newtons versus degrees. So in this case, it does matter my degree, so I'm going to underline that. The W at which t equals 600 would be what? So I'm going to go to theta equals 10. The W, which would be equals 600. Well, W we could infer is N. It's whatever this key is, because newtons is equivalent to weight. Okay, so they said at 10 degrees, when would it be 600? Well, 600 is right there. What is it in between? Square, the solid, square, and circle, which is 100 and 200. So it's got to be B. Based on table 1 and figure 2, for D equals 0.5 and theta equals 10, notice how they're always telling us the standards that the experiment was done in.
It's already given.
Yeah, it's always going to be given. Right here it says that the standard they used was D equals 0.5, weight equals 100, and then the theta they varied. So they're just repeating the thing. So you don't want to focus on those like mundane numbers. So we want to focus on those key things like 1.5 millimeters. And could it support 300 newtons? This is a very hard question now. So who wants to do this? Sid. It's not that hard, actually.
Yeah, so you go to cable diameter,
Okay,
and the F of n is 531.
good.
32, and you for 32 for 300,
And at what theta?
10. That's like 1,000. So
It's a yes?
Yeah.
Okay. So my cable diameter is 531, but my weight is 1,000. Logically, my cable will not hold 1,000 thing. But you can't make that judgment. So let's skim the thing and see. Where does it say relate T and my cable diameter? It's somewhere in this passage.
Third line of the first paragraph.
Read it.
T in the cable. The cable will break if T exceeds the cable breaking point.
The cable will break if T, which is this,
Okay, yeah.
is greater.
So it's
What is the question asking? Will the sign support a 300 Newton thing without breaking if I use a 1.5 steel cable? It won't. No, because T will be greater. Good. All right, next one. A difference between experiment 2 and experiment 3. Whenever you have differences, these types of questions, John, Bruin, stop talking, guys. Whenever you have these types of questions, you want to read your answer choices, which is going to lead you to answer the actual question. Okay, so you're going to skim them. A different solvent, a different initial concentration, same temperature, different temperature. So my three options are, did I have different solvent, concentration, or temperature? So now let's see what's the difference between 2 and 3. So I'm left with 2 and 3. So the temperatures look, let's read out in 2 and 3. So the logical thing to do would be to always read the shorter one, okay? And it would say the trials experiment 2 at 40 degrees and at 20 degrees were repeated, except that the solvent was acetanol. So the solvent was this instead of whatever it was before. So what is that? That's A, because a different solvent was used. 30. Based on experiment 2, if a trial had been done in experiment 3 at 30 degrees Celsius and at 6,000, the conductivity would most likely be what? So I'm going to experiment 3, 30, and 6,000. So experiment 3, 30 degrees, and at 6,000. So 6,000, where's 30? Looking at this one, it should fall somewhere in between. So 6,000, it should be somewhere in between these two. Somewhere between 5 and 15. Don't even bother looking at the exact number, just estimate. It's 5 and 15. And that's why it's G. Stop me if any of these don't make sense. In experiment 2 and 3, the students were measuring the conductivity. They were directly monitoring the what? Okay, so this is a hard question too. So I'm going to use my answer choices to guide me. NAI and NABR. All right. So in studies 2 and 3, what were they measuring? Well, I see it's conductivity versus time, but that's not an answer choice. So I'm going to go to, remember, the conditions of an experiment are always listed right under when it says experiment 1. So let's read it. In this case, it's not there though. Who can do this one? Krishna.
Second paragraph, it says NAI is the only component that significantly contributes to the solution's conductivity, and it's a reactant, not a product, so it decreases really close to the
Good. So?
decreasing
Good. Because they're saying NAI is the only component that significantly contributes to the solution's conductivity. That's why it's B. This one, you can spend 20 seconds trying to find the answer. When you don't find it, read the passage. Don't read, skim it. What is the most likely reason that in experiment 2 and 3, the test tubes were left in the bath for 10 minutes before they were mixed? Well, it would be H. This is the prior knowledge question. Okay? This is just common sense. Alright. So wait. No, it's J, right? Yes, J. I didn't even finish reading the question. This one says reach the temperature of the bath. This one says reach room temperature. No, we wanted to reach the temperature of the bath. Alright, 33. Who can do this one? Rohit. Okay. Good. So right here, our answer is D. Okay. 34. Suppose that at 40 degrees Celsius, 10 milliliters of a 100 millimeter mole of acetone is mixed with 300 millimeter moles of acetone as well. Based on experiment 1, the conductivity would be what? So we're mixing 100 and 300 acetone, experiment 1. So I'm going to experiment 1, 100 and 300 of acetone. So we're mixing from here to here. So logically, the average of those should fall somewhere in between, which is where? That's around 10. So I'm going to go here. Well, it should be F. The easiest, another way to do this though, it absolutely, any test writer can ask one answer choice for here, one answer choice for here, or one answer choice here on this side. All three of those, if that could be correct answer choices. However, they cannot ask two correct answer choices in between this range, because differentiating between where this point falls is a subjective answer. Someone could say it's 15, someone could say it's 16. It varies because how can someone exactly draw the line and see where the point is? So a test writer for a standardized test would not ask that. So don't nitpick on exactly where it falls, just estimate, and it's going to be right. Okay, last passage. In study 2, wait one sec. In study 2, at approximately what incident photon energy P for the Compton effect is the maximum value? So I'm going to go to study 2 for the Compton effect, which is my dashed line. I'm always going to read my key. The maximum is right there. That's a bell curve. The maximum is going to be right there. Go down. It's around 1. Which one's by 1? It's C. All right, 36. In any given event, what scattered particles, who can do this one? Nitya, 36. How many people finish this passage? Take 3 minutes and finish this passage. Do it. 3 minutes. All right, time's up. Let's go over this. So who can do 36? Brianna.
So you underline scattered particles, and then the three different effects. And then if you look at the descriptions of each of the effects, the last sentence says what was scattered away. So then the Compton effect is a photon and an electron, and then the second one says just an electron, and then the third one says an electron, and then is it a positive electron?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and a positive electron. So then the answers that have all three is F.
If you don't know what that symbol means, you don't need it. The other two answer choices should give you F. All right. Yeah, it tells you. F. Oh, it tells you?
Yeah.
Where?
Where to go
Question
first?
defines lines of the question.
Oh, didn't even see that. All right, 37. We can do this. Burn.
So you underline studies 1 and 2, and minimum incident photon energy. And if you look at figure 1 and figure 2, the pair production starts at 1 MeV, and so I got B.
Good. All right, 38. We can do that. Magna.
I didn't know for sure about this one. But I was thinking that it might be H because it was asking for higher than 50% in the TV.
So let's see H. Let's try to see if we can find that somewhere in here. Above what incident photon energy for a pair production higher than 50%? So what they're asking for is when is it higher than 50? So above this line, when is it for pair production? Can we answer that from this question? At what incident is pair production at 50%? That can be answered from this graph, right? What? Yeah, this can be answered from the thing. So that's why it's not H. Does that make sense, Magna? Because what the answer is asking for is which one cannot be answered by the analysis of figure 2. Sid.
Is it G?
Yes. How'd you get G?
You can't find the probability of
No. Krishna.
Only the data from the successful events were used. So P is already the successful event, so you can find the probability.
Good. What this is implying is that there are some failures, so that you could find the successes from it. But they're already giving us the successes, so yeah. All right, 39. Nithya.
Also A, because in study, in paragraph in study 1, it says when the photon passed through a slide without interacting, an unsuccessful event was registered. In each successful event, the energy of the incident in the photon and the times of scattered particles were recorded.
So right here is the answer to question 39. All right, last one. 40, who wants to do this one? Again, anything before this is like an intro. This all tells you some background information you need for this, so don't focus anything on this. So it's light if it's less than iron. It's heavy if it's greater than iron. What is iron? The atomic mass of carbon. It's 12. Yeah, it's 12 point whatever. Okay, Fe is what? Yeah, 54, 56, whatever. It's like we'll call it 55. All right, Pb. What is the atomic mass for lead? So I think 86 or somewhere around there. That's all the background information you need for this. That's the only way you could have figured out which one's light and which one's heavy. But you guys should know that carbon comes way before on the periodic table than Fe, and Pb comes way after. You guys at least, even if you had no clue what the atomic masses were, You should have been able to think that through, because that's kind of the only way to answer this question. Because what they're saying is, at point 1, which one had, out of the light elements, which one had the highest? And at point 1 for the heavy, which one had it? So for the light, which chart am I going to look at? Well, I'm going to look at this one because it's the carbon one. But if you didn't know that carbon was lighter than iron, you would have looked at this, and you would have gotten the question wrong. So if you looked at this one, at point 1, what's the highest? It's the Compton effect. Versus for lead, which is my heavy, what's the highest? It's the photoelectric. So that's why it's A, it's F. Alright. You guys are going to get 30 minutes to do reading. Yeah. So, did you guys find this English to be, or what do we have, science, to still be hard? Or was it somewhat doable? Okay, so the only way to get better at that is when you're doing your homework, cut down your time. All right. Take one and pass it. Okay, does everyone have a Scantron? Pass them down. How many more do you need? One more? I'm okay. Pass. Should be together. Pass both of those down. Alright, you guys have 30 minutes, so you guys can start. Break it up. That's 7 minutes and 30 seconds for each passage. Read it in 4 minutes.